Hello everyone, Australian Motorcycle News. My name is Peter Wam with an update from what happened today in Brno on the MotoGP racetrack on Saturday, where we had the qualifying and the sprint race in the MotoGP race. I actually am not allowed to call it a race. It's called the sprint. The race is tomorrow. A lot of action today and a super surprising result. Not the winner. I assume all you guys have seen the races. Marc Marquez won it, but in a special way. So later more about that. But these two guys here, 2 KTMs, there's 4 KTMs, and we had 4 KTMs, all 4 KTMs in the top 10. One of them is even a wildcard rider. So definitely the Brno racetrack shoots the KTMs very, very well. I don't think they even understand themselves how they finished here. A short explanation about this picture, because I love this picture a lot. It's from today's race, and both bikes seems to have the front wheel completely turned the wrong way around. Now, to explain why that is, we need to go to the track, and these pictures was taken inside number 2. So if every MotoGP bike that enters turn 1 really on the limit goes, needs to be careful, because if you're too late on the outside, then you are on the outside of turn 1, then you are going to turn 2 too early on the inside. So what they need to do is try to get not too wide out of 1, and without having to close the throttle, make it around this fast corner. If you want to go a left kink very, very fast, you have to counter steer to the right. But at the same time, while they're shifting, you see the front wheels coming up. So that's why the front wheel is both in the air and pointing in more or less the wrong direction, but it's just to make sure they make it around the left-hander here. But getting back to the race action, guys, it was a day for the KTMs. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. We go to this one. Keep this picture in the background, camera person, thank you. We had Marc Marquez winning the race. That's not a surprise, but Marc Marquez was winning the race in a strange way. I don't want to go too long in too much detail, but because this track is quite new for everybody, not quite new, it's very, very new. We've been there lots of years, but we not have been there since 2020, and there is a new surface on it. Nobody except Yamaha has done any test, and yesterday was almost completely wet. So everybody went into the sprint race not really knowing how to set the front tire pressure. Obviously, front tire pressure from Michelin, you want to have it as low as possible, because then it works better. But Michelin's very worried, so if you're under a certain limit, 1.8 bar, they will penalize you. And they're always, so when you're following another rider in the hot air, your tire pressure will go up. When you're alone leading the race, it will drop. So basically you need a crystal ball, which is impossible to decide it. And today, both Ducati factory riders had set it a little bit wrong, the tire pressure. And both riders had the message coming on the dashboard. Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, riding in 1 and 2 position, had the message coming on, oh, you're in trouble. Your tire pressure is too low for too long. You need to have 30% of the race distance in the sprint race, your tire pressure correctly, otherwise you get the penalty. So both riders had to roll off, let riders pass by, make sure they're really close behind the next guy until the tire pressure, the temperature goes up, pressure goes up, and you're safe again. And all the time this calculation is done inside the dashboard from the bike. Poor Pecco's dashboard was completely confused and kept saying him, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. So a couple of riders passed him. In the end, Pecco finished 7 or something, but he didn't really have the pace to challenge Marc, but he was also very unlucky that his dashboard was confused. Marc's dashboard was very spot on, told him stop, so he let Pedro Acosta pass, and then with 1.5 lap to go, I think, I'm pretty sure, with 1.5 lap to go, Marc decided on a very clever place between 8 and 9 to pass Acosta back. He followed him into 8, then put it underneath him into 9. This means your drive, you passed the guy, but your drive out of 9 is bad. But he passed him very late on the entry, so also Acosta on the outside had to roll off, couldn't make the undercut, and both of them had a shit drive out of 9. But then it's a Ducati GP25, it's Marc Marquez, he will still have okay drive, and as soon as you're still leading into 10, he just disappeared for the 1.5 lap to go, and Marc won it. All these tire temperature and tire pressure things are a little bit silly, but for me, I want to explain what is the most special thing that happened today is to have suddenly 4 KTMs. They can't believe their own luck in the top 10 and having not so many strong dominant Ducatis. What I learned from it is if all the manufacturers go to a track that is like an unknown for everybody, then the Ducati is not that dominant, and then everybody has quite an okay motorbike. It's just that if you spend more days on a track, or you know a track better, and you work better with all your data, because Ducati has more bikes also on the track, then they always make the next step. Normally in a race weekend, Ducati is better on Saturday than Friday, and on Sunday they make the next step. But here, yesterday we didn't learn anything, and then the bikes are pretty close. It's more down to the riders themselves. So very happy for KTM, not so happy for some of the other riders. For example, Jack Miller, he was in an okay qualifying position, but he was at the start. This is actually a very long start strip. You go into the fourth gear. They start in first gear, first, second, third, fourth, and then they brake. But it's a very fast entry, the first corner. So it's a bit of a long run, and Jack was unlucky that beside him, Alex Marquez made not just a bad start, but his bike went completely sideways, crossed Jack's path, so he had to roll off, go around it, and by the time, I think I've got a picture here of it actually, I think by the time we went to turn number 1, after the start, poor Jack was really, really in the back of the field. And this brings me to the next thing. Jack was in an okay qualifying position. Fabio Quartararo was on the front row, but if you're on a Yamaha, an inline 4 bike, then you cannot really race the V4s. The Yamaha is very stable, has a high corner speeds everywhere, loses out on this track strip, loses a lot out on this horsepower hill, loses a lot out here, but is very fast around most of the other corners. This means with the Yamaha you can be fast, but only when you are alone. And obviously in a race you're not alone, especially like Jack when you got more to the back. Your race is already lost with that. So the story for Jack is also a little bit the story for Fabio Quartararo. Starting on the front row, still finishing 5th, but it's a good thing that Yamaha works so hard on the V4. Jorge Martin then. Yesterday he was 5th. Today, starting P12 in the qualifying. He suddenly found himself after 1 or 2 laps in P7, because he's still a good racer. Aprilia now can do really good starts. He is aggressive the first couple of laps, but P7 is not something he at the moment, physically but also mentally as a racer, can hold. But it shows the talent from him and the Aprilia. He just has to get used to it a little bit better. In the end he finished 11, but within 6 seconds of the winner. And Marco Bezzecchi finished 4th on the Aprilia. So the bike's there, we just need a little bit to wait for Jorge Martin to also get it up there. One thing we need to speak about as well is track limits. Because today we had 15 of the 19 finishers of today had already a warning in the sprint race. And tomorrow's race is twice as long. So tomorrow after 3 times you do somewhere hit track limits, you get the warranty. 4th time can be an accident. If you hit it the 5th time, you have to do the long lap, which is all the way around turn 7 here. Now, the places to have the track limit, here the green, like we saw on the picture with the KTMs. Exit of turn 4 is the track limit, is a place where people often use too much and then go over the curbs. Exit of turn 9 is one. 12 not so much, but turn 14 definitely. Going on to the start finish, you can see it on the TV pictures very, very well. Actually the green starts, to be honest, a little bit too early here. On the natural line around turn 14, suddenly then the green comes towards you. So that's a bit of a thing here, the track limit. So tomorrow in the race, let's cross our fingers it doesn't spoil the race. And we also have Moto2 and Moto3, because I like to speak a little bit about Australian riders, of course, and poor Jack was hampered by the start and couldn't do a lot. In the Moto2, Senna Aegis qualified in 6th with a best lap and also a race pace that is possible to fight for P3, P4, but the first 2 guys, at least in this practice session, were on another level. Moto3 is a very strange situation. We had Joel Kelso and Jacob Roulstone yesterday quite good, going immediately to Q2, but Q2, Joel Kelso couldn't even start. He crashed this morning, damaged his ankle, or hurt his ankle, the same ankle that he already damaged in Sachsenring last week, and now it was just too painful. He did not even start in Q2. I hope he starts tomorrow in the race, but I'm a bit worried for him. Jacob Roulstone finished last in Q2, P16. But when I checked all his laps, I found out that 2 of his really good lap times, quite good lap times, were striped away because it was track limits. He was also too eager at some places in the Moto3. That's very easy to do because it brings you a lot if you're on the limit of the tracks. So he was just not smart enough to put a really good lap together. Well, tomorrow he has the whole race to put a good lap together. Looking forward to tomorrow. That was it. I hope it is interesting for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helps you to understand tomorrow's race a little bit better. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye bye.